You know, whatever it is you want to achieve in your life and your career, you need to get a picture of it in your mind, and you need to remind yourself every day of where you want to go. Yeah, I have a daughter-in-law that loves to garden. A few months ago, we were walking through looking at some of her plants, and she reminded me that planting the seed is just the beginning. She said if you want to get good growth, you have to feed and water it continuously. And I thought to myself, that's the way we humans are. That's how we grow. It's how we succeed. As a matter of fact, Earl Nightingale gave us that years ago. Now, if you don't know anything about Earl Nightingale, Earl was raised in Long Beach, California. And they said as a youth, you could find him at any given afternoon in the local library reading biographies about successful people. He wanted to know how they got to be who they are. What obstacles did they overcome? And as he grew, they said he was looking for the answer to one question. And that question is, how can a person, starting from scratch, with no particular attachments to the world, achieve the goals that he felt was important, and at the same time contribute tremendously to the lives of others? Now, his search for the answer to that one question, along with his insatiable appetite to know how the world works, is what made him one of the foremost experts in achievement and success. And Earl told us years ago what a lot of folks seem to forget today, and that is, whatever you plant into your subconscious and you nourish it with repetition and emotion will come to pass for you. That means, ladies and gentlemen, whatever you and I want to accomplish, we have to get a picture of it up here. And we have to continually feed that if we're ever going to enjoy the reality of it. That's what my friend Dave Moyer did when he assumed the role as director for operations for an organization in Nashville. They had offices in all the surrounding states. And when Dave started to look at each market, he recognized that they had an office in Tullahoma prior that had been closed. And when he started looking at the market data, he realized that's a vital office. According to that market data, they could contribute tremendously to our goals and our mission. And as he further dove into it, he realized that from the exit interviews, most folks left there with a very negative attitude, with no hopes of success. Well, Dave realized that we got to open that office back up. So he calls a big company meeting, about 150 folks, kind of like an auditorium like this. And he rolls out his plan to open that office. And he said, this is what I want to do. We're going to hire somebody to manage that market. And he said, I need you to help me make them successful. And this is how I want you to do it. He said, every time you speak to the person that I hire, I want you to leave with them the impression that that Tullahoma office has more opportunity than any office we have. You wanted that office. You don't know how they got an office like that. It must be kin to the boss to get an office like that. Well, everybody agreed to do it, so he went in search of a candidate. A few weeks later, he hired this gangly young man with a wife and 2 small kids. Not a real go-getter, but, you know, a guy had a good work ethic, and they thought, I can deal with that. Well, that's exactly what happened. First day on the job at orientation, the trainer comes up to him at break time and says, hey, man, how'd you get that office in Tullahoma? I was willing to go back out in production to get that office. All you have to do down there to be successful is just show up for work. I mean, he was constantly being drilled with positivity. He would hear things like, even when he was having a slow month, they would say, man, a slow month for you means you better hang on to your seat because you're going to triple next month. He never saw failure. Well, you can imagine the results, right? First year, he was 150% of his goal. Second year, he was over 200% of his goal. He was winning awards he wasn't even aware existed. He was just having fun coming to work. After the 3rd year at the annual sales conference, first night at the awards banquet, they're giving away all the awards, and this cat's winning most of the awards for previous year's production. And that's when my friend Dave decides to tell his story of how this happened. So he comes to the podium, and he begins to tell how this happened. Well, I'm sitting about 4 tables back, and I know I probably turned 6 shades of red because I'm the guy he hired. And I thought initially, these guys have manipulated me. They have given me a failing office and expected me to make it work. I mean, I was furious. I even looked over at my friend who had been hired a few months before me, and I said, were you in on this? And he just smiled and looked at me and said, did it work? And that's when I started to realize what they really done was teach me a life lesson. That if I can maintain a positive attitude and a positive perception, that I can be successful in most every area of my life. Now, it took me a little while to figure out how to do that, because we don't all work in a perfect environment around perfect people. It's going to give us that kind of feedback, do we? But after a while, it came to me. It's called self-communication. You see, I have to be responsible for motivating Donny. I can't rely on someone else to do that. I had to do what Earl Nightingale said. I had to get a picture of that. I had to plant that goal, that desire in my mind. And I had to feed it every day. And I did that through study, through visualization, verbalization, through exercising that and moving in that direction. And I did it with emotion because that anchors it. And that allows me to do the one thing that was important, and that is to take action, to move towards that goal. And I realized something, that you can't expect other people to believe that you are skilled, talented, beautiful, sexy, and successful until you believe it. And you're not going to believe it until you start relaying that message to yourself. So guys, I encourage you today, if you don't already, you need to get a picture of what you want to accomplish. Visualize that. Anchor that in. Do it through study, through self-communication. That self-talk is powerful. Tell yourself every day. You don't have to do like I did. I mean, I got up, looked in the mirror every morning and said, hey, God, look how great you made me. Today I'm going to do more than I've ever done in my life. But you need to do that. Communicate to yourself the proper way, because when you do, that's when life begins to work. That's when you can live life to its fullest. You can be the influence on your friends, your family, and your peers that they need. And I promise you, when you do, that's when you can live life happier, healthier, and far more prosperous than you ever thought possible. Thank you.